Well, hello and welcome to my latest video. Now, you see what this is, right? This is a bike. And you see what this is? This is a power cord. And why have I got a power cord on a bike? Well, the big thing at the moment is e-bikes. So, am I going to turn my bike into an e-bike using my power cord? Or am I going to tell you some rather sensible reasons that I think you don't need to buy an e-bike? Now, what's reason number one? Power to the people. The number of people who've commented on my headgear and related it to Wolfie from the Tooting Liberation Front, or as I prefer to think, Che Guevara. Well, power to the people. Power to the people, no. You know what an e-bike uses? And the clue is in the name. The E is electricity. And where does electricity come from? Yes, it comes out of a plug socket in the wall. Only electricity has got to be made. It's got to be manufactured. And what is used to manufacture it generally? Fossil fuels. The ground is full of fossils. The fossils of dead animals, dinosaurs, which are then burnt to create energy, which produces the electricity, which goes into the batteries to power your bike. Now, the bike is the most wonderful human-powered invention since the horse. So what do people try and do? They put power on it. Now, I was talking to my friend Greta Thunberg's brother, whose name is Nigel, incidentally, Nigel Thunberg, who is just as keen on the environment as she is, but he doesn't make such a song and dance about it. And he says, e-bikes, you're going to ruin the world. You're going to drag us into climate change. You're going to collapse the ozone layer. You're going to ruin the future for our grandchildren and our grandchildren's grandchildren's grandparents, which incidentally are your grandchildren, because there won't be energy left in the world because everybody's going to be tooling around on their bloody e-bike. So, number one reason to not get an e-bike is there is not enough power to the people to power all these damn e-bikes. Marketing. You may have seen a video that I did about gravel bikes, and I said it was mostly about marketing hype. Well, guess what? E-bikes are mostly about marketing hype. You tell me a bike maker, let me see, Brompton, no, they've got an e-bike. Pinarello, no, they've got an e-bike. The Rally Chopper, actually, no, I don't think you can get a Rally Chopper e-bike, but I'm sure somebody's put a motor on one so you can turn it into one. They're all at it. And now you have e-gravel bikes, you have e-cyclocross bikes, you have e-touring bikes, you have e-bikes coming out of your ears. A nice picture in the magazine, a nice advert on your TV screen of somebody whizzing through the countryside, and there is an eerie silence, only there isn't, because there is a whirring motor under their arse, and that is what they use to turn the pedals. So the marketers, they want you to buy an e-bike. They say an e-bike is the future. It's what all of us are going to be riding instead of motor cars. Oh, no, 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 no. We shouldn't be riding e-bikes. If we should be riding anything, we should be riding non-e-bikes, un-e-bikes. There's nothing wrong with your heart, right? You think there is. You think, oh, I've felt a little flutter. I don't think I can ride my proper bike anymore. I'll just get a little bit of assistance. I know, I'll get one of those new e-bikes. You don't need an e-bike. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not suddenly going to have a heart attack and go boom. It's not going to happen to you. You haven't had a stroke. You might think you've had a stroke. You might think your muscles are atrophying and that's why you need an e-bike. No, your muscles are atrophying because you're not on a bike. It's not about having an e-bike. You are healthy. Stop falling for this nonsense that says you are so weak that you have to get an e-bike. You don't need to get an e-bike. I know why you want an e-bike. You want to beat your mates. Well, let me tell you, beating is cheating. If you're riding with your mates and you've got one of those e-bikes and it doesn't look like an e-bike, it looks like a normal bike, and you come to a hill and you put the power down and you go whoosh, in this kind of silent, only it isn't silent. There is this whirring sound, and you know that whirring sound is? That whirring sound is the noise of your grandchildren's grandchildren expiring because there is no world left for them to live in because your damn e-bikes have destroyed the ozone layer. So that is the sound that you hear. It's the dying hiss of billions of grandchildren's grandchildren around the world who won't be there anymore. Sean Yates. Do you remember Sean Yates, the great hard man of British cycling, one of the great early heroes? No, not so much early heroes, kind of late 60s, early 70s heroes of British cycling, before the heady days of Chris Froome and Bradley Wiggins and Mark Cavendish and Geraint Thomas and Geoghegan Hart. There was Sean Yates, who had I think Sean Yates held the record for the fastest time trial on a non-time trial bike ever ridden in the Tour de France. And he was a famous... Now, Sean Yates has got a heart problem. Sean Yates does have a medical problem. Sean Yates has discovered the benefits of using an e-bike because it allows him to continue doing that thing that he loves, which is cycling. Not quite at the same level, but it allows him to get around on his bike. You are not Sean Yates. You're not the cyclist that Sean Yates was. You're not the cyclist that Sean Yates is now. You don't have Sean Yates' heart problem. You don't need an e-bike. And the other reason you don't need an e-bike is because e-bikes make you fat. Yes, not curvy, not svelte, not nice in all the right places. They make you fat. I was out for a ride a couple of weekends ago with some mates, and we were tooling through the Kent countryside. And we weren't going particularly fast, but we were going at a decent pace. And then behind us, we heard this kind of... And what came past us? There was a father on his e-mountain bike. There was a mother on her e-mountain bike. And then they were followed by two fat young teenagers, perhaps 13, 14, a couple of lads carrying a few extra poundage than perhaps was healthy for them. And they eased past us on their mountain bike, their e-mountain bikes, with this supercilious smile on their faces, looking at us saying, look at those old farts struggling through the woods, struggling along the roads of Kent. Well, let me tell you, fat kids on your mountain bikes, unless you get off those bikes, unless you get onto a proper bike and start using your own muscles, your own energy, not the energy that you're stealing from your grandchildren's grandchildren, no, unless you use your own energy to power those pedals around, to move your bike around the roads of Kent and the rest of the world, all you're going to do to yourself is get yourself unfit and over fat. So don't do it, kids. Don't do it. Get a proper bike. And tell your parents to get a proper bike as well. I know some people in their 80s, late 80s, and they have an e-bike. And if you're in your late 80s and you're not as strong as you once were and you want to get out on a bike, get an e-bike. But if you're watching this video, you're not in your 80s. You're not falling to bits. You're not, your muscles aren't disappearing. You think they are, but they're not. You're perfectly capable of riding an ordinary bike and using that wonderful invention that God gave us, which is the energy within our limbs, not the energy that we steal from the ground, not the energy that we pluck from the gas fires, not the energy that we steal from the wind. Those wind farms out in the ocean. You know what those wind farms are doing? Those giant propellers that are spinning around in the English Channel. You know what they're doing? They're powering the energy to build up the batteries that you can then stuff in your e-bike, that you can then plug in overnight and go for a ride. That's all it's doing. You're stealing energy from the rest of us. You're stealing our wind. My wind is my wind. I want to keep it. You're not having it. Lord Acton was a British commentator on the political scene round about probably 200 years ago, and one of his one of the sayings for which he is famous, because nobody has read any of his books, including me, is power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Well, E-bike power corrupts, and e-bike power corrupts absolutely. If you get yourself an e-bike, your life is over, because you will no longer use your own muscle strength to get around. You will rely on that little bit of extra power. And don't tell me, oh, it's only on eco mode. I'm not really using the assistance when it's on the flat, or when it's downhill, or when it's just a little hill. I use my own power. No, you don't. No, you don't. Eco power is power. Power that you're cheating, power that you're stealing, power that you don't need. Get an ordinary bike, get a proper bike, get a Mason definition, get a gravel bike if you have to. But don't ruin your lives with an e-bike. Please, you heard it here first. See you next time.